Welcome to today's webinar, Dash Cams and Government Fleets and How to Deliver Taxpayer Value. I'm Jim Luff, Government Fleet Contributor, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. I encourage you to ask questions during this webinar at any point, and we'll try to address them all. However, if we don't get to yours, don't worry, you will be contacted by email with a response to your question after the event. Joining me today are two experts in fleet management and the effective use of dash cams. Let me first introduce Clinton Strother, Director of Government Sales for GPS Insight. Clinton, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Jim. Welcome, everyone. I just want to take a brief second to introduce myself. My name is Clinton Strother, currently the Director of Government Sales at GPS Insight. Kind of have a unique path on how I got to this position. I actually started out my fleet career as a FedEx ground contractor. So I owned and operated 30 FedEx ground routes. And I operated that for about 6 years until I moved on to something different. And after I was done operating my fleet, where I was introduced to telematics and dash cams and all the different aspects of fleet, I actually went and worked for an organization called Sourcewell, which is a government contracting specialist organization that helps deliver government agencies value through their cooperative contracts. And so I got to learn a little bit about fleet, and then I got to learn a little bit about contracting and government contracts, and put those unique experiences together, and that brought me to being the Director of Government Sales at GPS Insight. So look forward to sharing some of my knowledge today with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely say that is well-rounded right there. Glad to have you with us today, Clinton. Next up, let me introduce Cindy DeWitt. Cindy is the Superintendent of Public Works for the city of Lake Jackson, Texas. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Cindy.
Well, I was the Director of Sanitation in my previous life. Retired from my previous job, came to work here in Lake Jackson about 1.5 years ago. Really like it. It's a nice place to work. We use GPS Insight, previous job. Lucky enough to get them here. So we're very excited now to be able to see what our guys out in the field are doing. So that's really about it.
Thank you, and welcome as well. Obviously, we've got some super knowledgeable people joining us here today that are going to present some very useful information. Thanks for being here and sharing your knowledge with us, you guys. If we dive into the mission of a government fleet manager, we know that the expectation for today is to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars. And that includes looking into the future and making investments with taxpayer money spent wisely, and more importantly, pleasing them with the services that you deliver. But what if you could take things to a whole new level and help government fleets support their communities, but also provide outstanding services, safer roadways, and safer vehicle operators? Imagine if you went beyond your community taxpayers, not just being satisfied, but actually being grateful. Clinton, let me ask you this. Are you seeing more government fleets adopting dash cam technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. So I'm relatively new to the telematics and smart cam space, but what we are seeing is we're definitely seeing a trend. A lot of government agencies and a lot of private companies are using telematics because I think telematics gives you that surface level understanding of what is going on in your fleet. You know, what driver behaviors are you seeing constantly? What driver behaviors are consistent across the fleet? And how can you improve your fleet, optimize your fleet really through telematics and the understanding of what's going on? But I think what cameras do is it brings that full circle. It actually really allows you to put context behind what the telematics data is telling you. So telematics data is great by itself, but now including that camera data along with it really gives you the full picture, you know, not to be a pun, but truly does give you the full picture. It gives you everything that you want to see. So now instead of saying, oh, my driver harsh braked and they threw on the brakes and had a high G-force event throughout their day, maybe what happened there? You know, with the camera now, he can say, hey, I was actually being a great driver. A little kid ran out on the road, and I actually avoided an accident because I saw them and was able to slam on my brakes. So now we have that context behind the telematics data that can really be valuable to cities, counties, and other government agencies that can help them exonerate not only their drivers, but help them understand what's going on in the fleet, really get that full picture.
I can definitely see how cameras would help improve, we'll call it customer service, because let's face it, taxpayers are your customers, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, Cindy, anyway, maybe not so much you, Clinton, but Cindy, let me ask you, I'm going to throw a multi-part question out to you. First of all, the first part is, what made you decide to get cameras for the city of Lake Jackson? Meaning, was there a single event? And the second part of that question is, how are you using them?
The reasoning behind getting it was accountability, both for our residents here and for the guys, also the ones that are operating the trucks. The biggest complaint that you have in sanitation is always, you miss my trash. And so with the cameras, what we do is, and this is the beauty of it, because you can do it from your desk, is you can just pull it up and you can see, was the trash out or was it not out? And so that takes care of a lot of those complaints very quickly. The other thing that we use it for is, we're in a small town, so we used to have to put people on what we call watch. So if we had someone that basically said we continuously missed their trash, then we'd have to go by there each of their trash days, make sure the garbage was out, and then we'd have to go back and make sure it was picked up until we could identify exactly what the problem was. So this has taken a lot of that out of our hands, physically having to go do that. So, excuse me, that is really nice. The other thing is, it is driver protection. We recently had an accident with one of our drivers, and we could pull up the video. Well, actually, we didn't have to pull it up because it was an accident. We got the notice that there had been an accident. So we
hold on right there. Hold on. Let me interrupt you there for a moment, because you said you were notified, and earlier you talked about being able to see the events on a desktop. Now, you said you're notified in the accident. Can you view, you personally view using a mobile device, these same images?
Yes.
So you basically have the ability through the camera system to see what's going on anytime, no matter where you are or your driver, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think that was important. And especially, I know that this accident that we're speaking of was a very serious accident. I believe your truck rolled over. So tell us a little bit more about when that rollover occurred and what that notification process is like. Give us the picture of that.
Well, it wasn't a truck. It was one of our tractors. And it was on an incline, and it tipped over. We got the call, and as soon as we got the call, as we were getting the call, I'm on the phone looking to see if we got the notification. And I mean, it was almost instantaneous, almost literally at the same time we were getting that notification. And, we could actually look at it and see and determine what the cause was. So that part was very nice to be able to, I could relay to upper management, this is what's going on. We're already en route, but, this is what happened. But we also had a situation where one of our drivers was in a cul-de-sac and just happened to, well, in the cul-de-sac, you're always on the curb, but he was on the curb. And he was actually stopped in front of a driveway, and they were packing and finished packing. The helper gets on the back. So the driver starts to take off, but just as he's starting to take off, this car just pulled right in front of him to get into the driveway. Of course, he slammed on his brakes. We get the notification, hey, we had a heartbreaking incident. But there was a possibility that if he had not have been so alert, he could have struck that vehicle.
Sure.
And it would have just been, their word against ours as to who was at fault. And with the cameras, because again, you get the notification really quick, we could determine right fast that this would not have been our fault. So,
And this this notification that you're getting is caused by excessive G-force of the truck coming to a fast stop at a moment, right?
Right.
Okay, so wow, that is a lot of powerful data captured through the lens of a dash camera. Let's move on. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the alerts that you get, I mean, you just don't get an alert and you've got to figure out what kind of alert it is. It tells you possible collision, hard braking, ran a stop sign. It'll say traffic sign violation or something like that. So
Wow.
you can determine right then and there, do I want to look at this now or do I want to look at this later?
Well, cool. Let's move on and talk about how value is achieved by improving driver safety, as we're talking about there. And Clinton, I'm going to throw this next question out to you. And I have to apologize for my ignorance in this, but I've heard terms of smart cameras and dash cameras. Is there a difference between the two?
Yes, absolutely. So, I think that most people, or really anyone, kind of think of a dash cam as just a camera that's sitting there and recording what's going on. And it can really be used to say, hey, this happened throughout my day. Can we go back and take a look at it? And really be able to either prove a point or exonerate or show what happened as far as the incident goes. Where cameras are going and what GPS Insight is doing is completely different. I mean, we have AI smart cameras. And what smart cameras are doing is they're actually analyzing data, trying to improve your fleet's safety, working with you in real time, detecting real-time events, using AI technology to see if you're speeding, to know if you're too close to a vehicle and you need to slow down, to know if you're running stop signs. So our smart cameras actually have the ability to tell a driver, hey, you're following too close, slow down, back up a little bit because you're at an unsafe distance. It can also give warnings such as stop, blowing a stop sign. If your driver blows a stop sign, the AI camera will actually pick that up, send a notification to the manager or the fleet director, whoever it may be, saying, hey, this driver is running through stop signs. But it's really used to acknowledge and understand and root out bad behaviors. But what we also want to recognize that smart cameras can do is help improve drivers and really help them become better drivers by understanding some of the bad habits that they have. Not all drivers intend to be bad drivers or are intentionally bad drivers, but a lot of us drive a company vehicle or a government vehicle the same way we drive our own personal vehicle and maybe have a little disregard. But when it comes to operating a taxpayer's vehicle, when it comes to operating a vehicle that is out there trying to help the community and do it in a safe way, I think we're seeing a really nice transition into these smart cameras that are helping drivers become aware of some of the bad habits they have without making a disciplinary action. It's more of a reminder to, hey, maybe slow down a little bit. You're going 10 miles an hour. Hey, please don't blow that stop sign. So it's really making sure that the drivers are aware of their trends in driving and acknowledging them. The AI and the smart cameras is smart enough to do that. And actually, what's really interesting about these AI smart cameras is that the longer they run and the more that they see the surrounding area that they're in, they pick up more and more things. So what an AI smart camera can do that, here's a perfect example that a dash cam is not going to do, is let's just say a bicyclist is riding on the right side of the road and you go to pass and you maybe go over the lane to go by them to create some space. An AI camera will recognize that was a human or on a bike, and it will actually give you a driver star for safe driving, for creating space for either a vehicle stopped on the side of the road, a police car, or a bicyclist. For creating space, it recognizes that and says that's good driving behavior. So it's there to reward good driving behaviors and also acknowledge when you're not maybe being so safe and make you aware of those to make you safe.
So I can definitely see how drivers might appreciate the coaching aspect as opposed to the disciplinary aspect of the camera documenting an incident like passing a bicyclist and being able to recognize the difference between bad driving and good driving. I'm curious about something, Cindy. Has a driver come to you and asked you, hey, can we review my video? Something happened today and I want to explain. Does that ever happen?
No, but the incident where we had the rollover, the driver did want to see that because he was, it was one of those things where he thought he understood how it happened, but then when he actually got to see the video, he got he got to rethink a few things. We have had some that just wanted to. I was teasing a couple of them because we get the rough ground notice, and you see the guys bouncing up and down in the truck. So I've had a few come in because I'll ask them, you have a bad day on whatever road it was, and they're like, oh, did you get a notification? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, let me see.
so they know.
Yes.
They know you get notified.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Is there something in the vehicle or on the camera, either one of you can answer this, that would say, I did bad, or the camera perceives I did bad? Do they know that you've been notified?
And on my end, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there are in-cab alerts. So like if you're speeding, if you're going 10 miles and over, it can actually turn on and say, you were speeding, please slow down. And so it actually give in-cab alerts to the driver to allow them to adjust their behavior. Very interesting that you asked that, is that we have a number of large commercial companies that utilize our product. And one of our largest actually wasn't using in-cab alerts, and they turned them on, and they saw their average driving score, which is something we'll kind of get into a little bit later, grow by over 100 points just by turning those alerts on, because they weren't aware that they were doing these bad behaviors. And so making a driver aware in real time can really improve safety.
I can see that. And I mean, I don't know how many people listening today have ever been in an auto accident of a serious nature. I myself have been in a head-on collision. And I think having the cameras to be able to go back, because at the moment after an accident occurs, I think that you're left saying, what just happened? And now there's a way to go back and watch what happened. And I'm trying not to have my dogs bark right now. Somebody just rang the doorbell. I think it was FedEx. I'm sorry. That live stuff is crazy. Anyway, my next question is, you mentioned, and I know you're not ready to talk about it, but the increase in the improvement in driver training and driver safety. Are there rewards for that? Are the drivers acknowledged in any way, Cindy, for gross improvement of their driving skills?
What we are doing is utilizing the videos in training classes for the guys, so that it's done in fun. It's not done to single anybody out or anything like that, because one of the things for the most part, we see the same behaviors throughout the fleet, and it's kind of like what Clinton was saying. It's just you've done it for so long, you don't even realize you have these bad habits.
Right.
So one of the things, like I said, we use it as a training tool, again, in fun, to break those bad habits, because we want the guys out, ladies too, we want them to be safe while they're out on the road. We don't want accidents to happen, and they are a representative of the city, and so we want the best out there. So right now, I can't say that we've set up any rewards because we're still in the whole training part, retraining part of it. But I'm sure in the future we'll be setting something up.
It seems like as you both have mentioned, that we all get into bad habits, whether it's driving or anything else we do in our life. We get into bad habits and we don't realize those. So it seems like in order to correct our bad behavior, our bad habits, that a reward or incentive program would be good, tied with the cameras. So that's why I was asking. And speaking of that, I mean, we're talking about the employees and how they feel about having the camera in the vehicle. I imagine that some would feel a little bit like Big Brother's watching them and might even resent the installation of dash cams. Can you give us some ideas of ways to get employees to embrace the cameras and see their true value? Clinton, I'll just ask you, what are some of the best practices you recommend for getting drivers on board with having a camera in the vehicle?
So I think the most important thing when we talk about smart cameras or improving safety is that this isn't Big Brother watching. This is really more about making sure that you're safe on the road and that you get home to your family at night and that everyone else on the road gets home to their family at night. I mean, that's ultimately the goal. The goal is not to sit here and criticize every driving behavior, but it is to point out that, hey, sometimes you do have this behavior that maybe you don't recognize. And I know Cindy kind of had a funny story about that one of her drivers was saying, I pull over every single time I pick my phone up. She's like, no, you actually don't. And subconsciously, I think that you do think that. But some of the best things is to use this, like you alluded to, Jim, as a rewarding system, as not just a way to tear a driver down, but as a way to show them that, hey, we can increase our safety and we can also increase the safety of our community by utilizing these functionalities. And something else that's better is, like, we need to talk about exoneration. There's a lot of large cities that have large fleets that have vehicles that are moving around all the time that, I don't want to say that individuals are looking for a paycheck or a payday, but I mean, you see an increased, you see an increase in government payouts over lawsuits and things of that. We have to exonerate and protect our drivers as well, because it is a he said, she said a lot of the times, and here's what's coming out more and more is there's been more and more cameras on stoplights. So you see when people run stoplights, you see them up above, there's more and more sky cams. There's more and more cameras everywhere that are really telling what's truly going on. So in order to tell the full story and in order to make sure that your drivers are doing what they need to, I think it's important to have eyes on the situation, to be able to say, hey, my driver was actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. It was this driver that did this. Insurance company, it was this driver that did this. We're actually taking a proactive stance and training our drivers. So I think that the number one thing about getting drivers on board is to let them know that this is not a disciplinary thing. This is more for your safety and to make sure that you are getting home every single night and that the city or the county or whatever government agency is actually has the drivers back and making sure that they can support them when needed.
In essence, it is a training tool. And I think that, if it's presented that way, it probably would have more value to the driver. And Cindy, I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know, maybe you don't want your drivers to know this, but is there any cadence for reviewing videos collected in the vehicles other than an alert? Do you ever pull videos just to see how a driver's doing that are not caused by alerts, or is that even a function of the camera?
Yeah, I mean, you can request a video. You can just go in there and pick your truck, pick your time, pick the day. You get it literally within a minute. We usually pull ours from an event based. Again, somebody calls and says, you missed my trash. We just go out there and request the video. And like I said, we'll know within a minute whether or not we missed it or not. The drivers are very appreciative whenever, we can tell them, hey, we pulled the video and you were right, there wasn't anything there. Drivers know their homes that they service and they know them very well. So like I said, they appreciate the fact that there is, a mechanism in place that can exonerate them, like Clinton was saying, and that it's not always used as a big brother type of situation.
Right. And I know that Clinton, you mentioned something a little while ago to one of my questions about GPSI smart camera solution awarding driver stars.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So as much as it's monitoring negative behaviors and also giving alerts, it's also monitoring positive behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that everyone needs to recognize. So driver stars can actually increase your driving score when you do positive things. Like, for instance, when you make 75 complete stops at stop signs, it recognizes that and says, hey, we're going to give you a driver score. We're going to boost your score because you are doing something very good and very positive. So it's the same as stopping at all the stoplights, not running yellows. It recognizes, based off the timing, based off the AI smart camera, when the drivers are doing positive things, and also rewards them for doing positive actions. And so that's something that's really cool about a smart camera, as opposed to just a dashboard camera. The dashboard camera, like I said, is going to just show you what happened, but it's not going to say your driver was actually doing something really safe, and that should be acknowledged. I think it's really cool that a driver can kind of say, hey, I would love to go to my boss one day and go to Cindy and say, hey, Cindy, you see I have a 500, complete stop track record going. Who else has one of those? It kind of creates a healthy competition and an understanding amongst the drivers of, hey, I'm doing things really good too. And I want you to recognize that, boss. I want you to recognize that I'm being a safe driver because I understand that's what's expected of me. So there are positive things that come out of these AI smart cameras that are really help the drivers feel confident about what they're doing, be able to provide good clarity to the boss and show them, hey, I'm doing a good job. Even though you're not in this truck with me every day, I am doing really good things.
So in essence, that star system, in theory, at the end of the month, Cindy could take all her drivers and see who accrued the most stars in a month, and there's your best driver, right?
Yeah, and it'll calculate it against your driving score. So it's just like everything. It's just like when you do a positive, it takes away a negative and you end up back in the middle, right? So it does. And I think that one thing that drivers or any employee, and let's be honest, really likes to be acknowledged for things that you do well. So I think it would be very positive and very rewarding for them when they do have their monthly or weekly safety meeting, when Cindy does recognize and say, hey, John, you're doing an unbelievable job in driving and you have this many driver stars. I think that perks up everyone else's ears and goes, hey, I kind of want to be recognized for doing positive things, because we all work. I mean, doesn't it feel good when your boss acknowledges you for things that you do positively instead of negatively? I mean, it really adds to your experience. It makes you want to work harder for them. It makes you feel valuable at your organization. And so I think that when you can point out the positives for drivers, you can point out the positives for your employees on things they're doing well. I mean, it only adds to the morale at work and really makes them feel positive about things that they're doing.
I would think that dash cams and smart cams not only keep your vehicle safe as a fleet manager, Cindy, but they're also keeping your people safe. Safe in encouraging good driving, safe from frivolous lawsuits that claim that they did something that they didn't actually do. I mean, it just seems like the cameras are such a great thing that I can see how it would be easy to get employees on board as opposed to thinking it's Big Brother. And, let's be honest, bad drivers at work are bad drivers outside of work. So you're actually helping them improve their own skills when they're driving home from the job or driving to work. And they're probably going to be driving their families around more safely just because of this constant reinforcement of safety and bringing awareness to them, bad driving habits such as speeding or rolling stop signs. So this is some seriously good stuff that we're putting out right here. And I'm sure many of our audience members are taking notes right about now. I want to invite you. We will have a Q&A session in the end. So go ahead and put your questions in down below if you have any questions while we're going along here. Cindy, let me ask you to share. I assume you were there during the rollout process of the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk about that rollout process, how you got your drivers to agree with the technology, just what it was like to roll them out.
We actually were doing a pilot program with GPS Insight and another company. And the drivers were all very involved in that because we were getting their feedback on each system, and which one was easier use for them. The thing with the GPS is they install it and drivers don't have to do anything at all, period. There's nothing they have to do. If they are out in the field and maybe someone's garbage is not out, they can just reach over and press a button and they can snap a picture of it. And that is about the most of their interactions with that system. They found it very easy to use because they didn't have to do anything with it.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, the only thing they have to do is occasionally they'll have to press a button. That's it.
Well, I think that's pretty cool that they can do that. And I assume, I mean, not only for the trash not being out, but for anything else that they view as being threatened and perhaps need to capture that moment on film to protect themselves. I like that they can push a button to do that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about taxpayers. We all know I'm one, you're one, Clinton, you're one. We're all taxpayers, and taxpayers frequently complain about the way tax dollars are spent. And it seems clear from everything shared so far that dash cams are actually an investment into increased safety for pedestrians and other motorists sharing the road. So, Clinton, in your perspective, can you describe some of the other value that's delivered to taxpayer?
Well, I think the biggest thing about providing taxpayers value is that you want to know that when your city or town is implementing something, that the dollars that you're spending are being appropriated positively. I think the biggest thing that we can provide taxpayers and allow them to really see and understand is that we care about our citizens. We care about our citizens' safety, and we care so much that we want to monitor how our government vehicles that we collectively paid for are being driven and taken care of. I mean, I think it's very safe to say that when a driver knows that they have eyes on them, and this goes back to positive reinforcement as well as understanding what's going on in the vehicle, is that when a driver has eyes on them and they understand that, you know, this vehicle was paid for by someone else, it's my responsibility to take care of it, it's my responsibility to drive it safely, and it's my responsibility to make sure that the citizens of the city, the people that I'm servicing, feel like I'm being a safe driver. You know, with those daily reminders, with being brought up and allowing that coaching to happen, I really think that drives value to the community as a whole. It allows us to see that, hey, this driver, maybe they were going to do something that wasn't the smartest. Maybe they'll second guess that when they have a camera on them with that vehicle, understanding that it's going to most likely be seen. And someone like Cindy's going to get an alert about it right away. So you're not going to get away with it for too long, right? And so I think that being able to proactively see what's going on with our government vehicles, proactively understand how they're being utilized, what the life cycle of them might be, how we can prolong the life cycle of them. I think that looking into how fleets are managed with both telematics and smart cameras really does drive a positive value in our tax dollars that we're spending. Because I think that overall, you're going to be smarter with the vehicle. Just like Cindy said, what you talked about, those G-force incidences earlier where she gets them and she knows that they're driving kind of crazy. She's like, I've driven down that road. It's not that bumpy unless you're going really fast, right? Now they're going to second guess that. I mean, we know that struts and shocks can only take so many times where they're going to be, especially in a refuse vehicle or a garbage truck, where they're going to hit that and it's only going to withstand so much. But if they continually do it slower and slower and understand that, they're going to last longer, which is going to provide us value. So I think just having a proactive look at our fleets and understanding what's truly going on with them with these smart cameras, and also that added safety bonus to our community, is truly a taxpayer value.
I have so many thoughts colliding in my head right now about all this.
Okay.
I'm thinking about how, you talk about when you drive somebody else's vehicle, when you borrow a friend's vehicle, you're probably going to drive that vehicle more carefully because it's not yours and you borrowed it. But I've also been an employee who drove company cars. And
Yeah.
I can't say that my thought process was the same, that I'm driving my friend's car, so I have to be extra safe. But I also think if I got in my friend's car and I saw a camera was attached to it, that I would probably drive it even more safely, even though it was a borrowed car, just because I knew that anything that I did that was improper, which could include, running a stop sign, causing risks to the car, speeding, driving the car aggressively, taking off like a jackrabbit, stopping on a dime. I mean, these are things that if somebody drove my car and I found it on a camera, well, I can tell you they'd never drive my car again.
Yeah.
So, I think that having these cameras in the car probably really, really does encourage some good driving. Cindy, I was thinking about that. Like, you were there for the rollout. Do you have any trackability, or even if it's just gut feeling or knowledge, that since the cameras were installed, you've had a decrease in accidents and or road incidents?
What I have noticed is that the drivers, especially once they understood about the alerts, because again, we'll call them up and, hey, got this alert on you. They have seemed to slow down a little bit. We've only had this system for about a month here.
Okay.
Okay, so we've only had a short period of time here, but what we have seen is, yes, we have definitely seen a bit of a slowdown, which I was happy to see. The other thing that I jokingly with the guys, kind of like what Clinton was saying, because we're still in a training phase. I always say the king of the cell phone operator is, Joe today. The king of running the stop signs is this one. And so now what's coming back is, you didn't get me today, did you? So we are seeing some improvement in that. But like I said, it's kind of like what Clinton was saying, excuse me, it's a positive type feedback. We're not using it, to browbeat them. We're trying to encourage them to be more safe and more productive out there. So yeah, we are seeing some positive changes.
I love that you have fun with it. I mean, that's good. I think that probably diminishes the big brother thoughts of the driver, because you are having fun with it and you are not taking punitive action for things that happen, but yet still bringing it to the face of the driver. Hey, you can't be doing this. You can't be driving like this. Can't be driving that fast going down that road. I drive that road every day myself, and I don't drive it like that. So let me ask you, Cindy, what do you see as the biggest value to taxpayers for your particular municipality?
Well, the residents pay for service, and it is imperative that we deliver that service. So, like I was telling you earlier, if we want to be able to ensure that we are picking up the garbage the way it's supposed to be picked up. One of the things that we're currently working on now is mapping for our website, so that residents will be able to go to our website and see if the truck has been down their road yet. Again, in sanitation, residents are supposed to have their trash out at a certain time, but they're all used to their garbage man and they know when he's coming. And so things get a little slack. But this way, like I said, they'll be able to go to our website. They'll be able to see if the trash truck's has come through there. We're actually going to have 3 little maps because we do residential trash, we do recycling, and we do heavy trash. These are all serviced by different vehicles, and so they'll be able, maybe we only pick up recycling once a week, and if they want to see that if their recycle truck has come through or where he's at, they'll be able to go there and be able to find out very quickly where that truck is.
I absolutely love that. Now, if we could just get an alert, an app that would remind me to take my trash out on trash day, that would be perfect. My reminder, Cindy, seriously, is when I'm sitting in my chair and I hear the trash truck coming from about a block away. And it's like, did I take the trash out? I didn't take the trash out. I got to run and take the trash out right away. So actually, let's talk about that, keeping track of trash collection. So apparently, next slide. Thank you. Apparently, it is possible for refuse collection to delight taxpayers. So what tips do you have for fleet managers who are considering a smart cam or a dash cam for their public sector fleet? And that's to you, Cindy.
One of the things that I like about it and would recommend it is, first of all, the ease of use for it. Because like I said, right now, I can sit at my desk, I can be on my phone, I can be, just about anywhere, and I can see what's going on. That and the fact that you can also show your employees what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, improvements that maybe they need to make, or where they're excelling at. It's always a yin and yang with everything. So that is, like I said, that the other thing is, I love the alerts, especially when we're talking about accidents. The whole safety aspect of that, I really like, because I'm a big safety girl. But like I said, it's just the whole ease of use with this and what you can build with your team. Every organization is different. So this is just such a versatile product that you can build a safety program around it. You can build a productivity goal around it. There's just a multitude of things you can do with this.
Yeah, and so in getting started, well, Clinton, I guess probably the best place to start is with a conversation with you.
Yeah,
for a fleet manager.
Yeah,
to figure out what you need for your fleet and what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish with what you're doing. And I guess a lot of that would be driven by citizen pain points within a given municipality and what they're complaining about or what they want to see improved. And you would improve the use of public funding too by investing in this, I would think. I'm sure that there are some people who are going to say, oh, we're spending a whole lot of money on cameras. And speaking of that, I don't know whether, you want to get into budget of what a typical camera cost for a vehicle. Is that something we want to talk about, or is that so varied that we have to go by an individual municipality?
Yeah, I mean, it would vary. It varies by range. It varies by the amount of cameras that you're going to buy. It varies on whether or not you need the telematics data along with it. But, you're right. It's figuring out the citizens' pain points, and it's figuring out as a fleet director or a sanitation director, whatever your role may be in that you're managing vehicles, what are your pain points? One of the coolest things that I think Cindy did with her fleet that I just really want to point out quick, because it was an interesting use case, was her refuse vehicles are not supposed to back at all. If they do back, they have to have a spotter, and they need to have someone behind them to make sure that they're not going to hit anyone. Anyone that manages a fleet, as well as I know, 90% of accidents come from backing. That's when you run into mailboxes. That's when you run into people. That's when you run into vehicles. And And what Cindy did is she put an alert that said, hey, anytime this camera starts going backwards for more than 3 seconds, I want to know.
Right.
And so now they can actually track anytime that the vehicle's backing, because we all know, anyone who's managed a fleet knows that an accident is bound to happen. If you take away the backing, you're going to take away accidents. And so
right.
It's really understanding that was one of Cindy's pain points. That's something she wanted to eradicate from her drivers. And so that's an alert she has. So understanding not only the citizens' needs are, pain points, but also what are your pain points in managing your fleet? Where are you struggling? Let's take a look at that, and let's see how we can really help you improve on the parts of your fleet that need improvement. And so the prices all range. I mean, like I said, you can get a dash cam relatively cheap. An actual smart cam that's managing your driving is completely different. It's a completely different subscription. So there are different price points, but all very realistic when it comes to your budget. And I think that if we really want to get down to public funding and understanding what that's going to cost you, the lawsuit when you have a fatal accident is going to be way more than if your driver was getting warned about potential collisions, or being told to slow down, or being told to create space and improving their driving behaviors over time, because they haven't. And then also understanding why maybe an accident happened is really going to be valuable to you in the court of law and for your taxpayers. And so I know that this is it's something that we talk about, and we want to continue to share and spread the word, because it's becoming more and more prevalent in a lot of government vehicles. I know some of my friends that have cameras in their cars just to have them, because you see it all over the internet now that people just have cameras in their cars to understand. It's just one of those things that's going to become normalized. But I also think that if you use it to your benefit as a fleet manager, it can really help turn around an unsafe fleet and make your fleet safer and make your community safer.
Yeah, I hear that. And I'm fascinated by, Cindy, your customization of the backup. And I'd venture to say that anybody watching this webinar right now probably knows the phrase "first move forward." And I have been in the fleet industry for some time myself, and backing accidents are a thing. But I love the way that you customized the app to notify you if the vehicle's backing more than 3 seconds. Are there other customizable features that I might not know about?
You can actually set it where you can get alerts through the app, or you can get them through email, or both.
Okay.
Or a text.
Exactly. I have mine set for email. I just want it one way. One of my supervisors actually went in and set his personal, because each individual can set their own personal notifications and how they want to do it. It's not you have to have it. You're on this level, so you only get these notifications, and you're on this level, so you get all these notifications. Every user can set their own preference. And so, like I said, I just want mine through email. I don't want it through the app. I don't want it through a text message, because I have the most annoying text message notification. And,
you can change that, right?
I know, but it goes off all day long anyway, and I don't want to hear it anymore. So, like I said, you can go in there and you have a list that's huge, and you can pick exactly what notifications you want, and it's really great.
I would say these cameras provide an endless use of benefits for public funding responsibility. When you say,
yeah.
And Clinton, after what Cindy just said, I want to ask you, there may not be an answer to this question, but are you familiar with any creative use of a dash cam that might be a little off the beaten path, but that's unique that you want to share?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to Cindy's fleet. There's a lot of fleets that do unique things, but Cindy uses it to monitor whether the trash can is out or not. So literally when she's driving up, there's a button underneath that says, hey, I want to record this because I think an incident may occur, or there's something going on that I want to make sure I have on camera. There's a little button, little red button underneath, you just pop it and it'll record the next minute. So when her fleet is driving up, they can press it and say, hey, that trash can was not out. No matter what they tell you, it wasn't there when we went by today. And they're going to say, well, just like Cindy said, they'll run it out 2 minutes later and say, I watched them go by, So there's a lot of use cases. I think that these cameras can really be used to help it in a number of different ways. I think as creative as you can be, the camera can be just as creative. And so it just comes down to what is important to you and what really you want to be notified about. The camera can do it. They're very smart. That's why they're called smart AI cameras. So I mean, you can help train it up and really teach it to be a value to your government agency.
I love it. All right, folks, it is your turn to ask the experts questions. So go ahead and type them in the chat box and we'll answer as many questions as we can get to. And remember, if we don't answer your question here, we will respond to you and reach out to you privately. Any final thoughts or comments from either of you, Cindy or Clinton?
Cindy, go ahead.
Hate being caught off guard. Thanks.
We have to give time for questions to come in.
I know.
We've got a couple, so you won't have to talk long.
No, I'm just teasing. One of the things, like I said, this is the first time that we've had a system here, and like I said, we used it where I used to work, but the supervisors are really loving this because they have got that bird's eye view on things out in the field, and they're not so much dependent on going out, driving around, making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, or having to go physically check, did we get this person's trash? It's taken a load off of them so that they can focus on other things.
I can see that, a time saver.
It is. It's very, very much a time saver. And, we're all having anxiety attacks because we're so used to doing this and spending most of our mornings out just verifying stuff. And learning to let go of that is, like I said, it's a little, we're all having anxiety about it, but, it's kind of neat to go, but wait a minute, we've got the camera system. We don't need to do that anymore. And that part is really nice.
I can see that. Okay, we have got quite a few questions now, and I am going to combine question number 1 and question number 6 for the experts. Question number 1 is, how do I get procurement to see that a dash cam is worth the investment? And question number 6 is, question number 7 is how a fleet manager at a municipality can make a business case to share with the city council to get buy-in. They're one and the same question. So how do we build a case that makes our elected officials say, yes, let's invest in this? I'll throw it out to you, Cindy.
Well, what we did was, excuse me. What we did was, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
All right, I'm sorry, something went goofy here on my end. What we did was we had a pilot program for a few months so that we could demonstrate to upper management exactly what was happening, and it went very well. That's all we did. Like I said, we just asked for a pilot program.
It definitely seems like it would be an easy sale, but I understand the question. Next question, and I am going to throw this to you, Clinton.
Yeah.
Do you have any issues with employees driving with the sun visor down or something dangling from the mirror that blocks the camera's view? And if so, how is this addressed?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. With the in-cab camera, anytime that view is obstructed for over 30 seconds, so they're intentionally blocking it or put a hat or put their folder in front of it to block it, you will get a real-time alert. So you can get an alert and actually call the driver and say, hey, get that out of the way. What are you doing that you don't want me to be seeing? So there are actual alerts that can be set up for obstructed view on the internal camera as well as the external camera. So anytime that's being blocked, it can be addressed in a timely manner.
All right, thank you. Next question is for Cindy. Do you ever use the dash cam alerts as documentation for disciplinary action or termination?
I have, yes.
All right.
If I can just add to that really quick, I know that we're going to continue to go on, but a lot of times what we do have is we have a template that have driver policies. So once you implement a camera, if you want to create a policy around the camera and how it's going to be used and present it to your employees, saying, "Hey, this is what the camera's been installed for, to monitor these certain things. If you do X, Y, and Z, it can be used against you. But we also want to use this as positive reinforcement." So there are templates and policies that can be put in place that really outline what the cameras are being used for, and when disciplinary action needs to be addressed for unsafe driving habits over a course of time. We do see that put into place often.
All right. And either one of you can answer this next question. How long does implementation take?
No time at all, really.
I like that.
Well, it doesn't. It really doesn't. They come in and they install the units, and you're literally up and running that fast.
So one day you're in business.
Exactly. You know, as the technicians are installing the cameras, and again, you'll get a notification. This camera is active, you know, or this account is active. I can't remember exactly what it says, but as soon as it's active, you're getting information on that vehicle. It is literally that fast. It took us 2 days to get our fleet all of the cameras installed with the units and everything. It took two days.
How many vehicles?
We have, I think it was 25 vehicles. We had 2 technicians, so they were here. Like I say 2 days, it was really like a day and a half. Because they were here at 9 o'clock. We're here at 7. The trucks leave the yard at 8. Technicians here were at 9, and I think they left at 4. So literally like a day and a half, we were up and going.
All right, we have time for one more question. That question is, communication is important with the drivers. What are the steps taken when you got into the pilot program? That would be you, Cindy.
Well, like I said, you know, all of them were involved with the pilot program because we had two pilot programs going at the same time. They understood that we were going to get a system, but we were making them a part of which one we went with. So that, I think, was the key because they had a say-so. None of them were off-put by the fact that we were getting a camera system. They seemed to be okay with that, but they seemed to be appreciative of the fact that we made them a part of which one we went with.
Oh, I like that, the buy-in. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up. It is 12 noon in our recording time, and that's all the time we have for today. But for anyone that asked a question that we didn't get to, the GPS Insight team will be following up with you via email to answer your question individually. We hope that you enjoyed today's webinar. I certainly want to thank Clinton, Cindy, and GPS Insight for today's presentation. I also want to mention that this webinar will be available on demand on the Government Fleet website at governmentfleet.com/webinars. Thank you both for being here today, and we wish you all a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.